Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman by heading over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hypecast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
Hello everyone.
Hello!
Oh man, welcome to episode of Hypecast!
Hypecast!
The show where we get hyped about stuff and things. I'm your co-host, Tom Ryman.
I'm your other co-host, David Bell.
And now you go.
Yeah!
And now me. I'm a guest, and my name is Vanessa Guerrero. Some of you might have known me at some point as Vanessa Gritton, and that was just a old last name that I was like holding on to for a while, and now I don't.
Sweet.
Welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be on. I love being hype. I love talking about coming attractions. This feels already like the let's all go to the movies energy that I needed.
Oh, hell yeah. I haven't heard someone call it coming attractions in like a decade.
Since I saw like The Babe in the theaters.
Oh my God.
It's been since like 1992.
Thank you for being on.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing the show. Welcome, yes.
How you been? How's your day going?
Pretty good thus far, actually. We're like settling into our new place. My husband talked the ice cream truck that patrols the neighborhood into stopping in front of our house twice a day.
That's great.
Oh, we got one of those here too.
Yeah. Except this guy's got soft serve and nachos, so that's gonna like fuck my sodium up for the rest of my life.
That's amazing. Holy shit.
If our ice cream man sold nachos, I'd be out there every fucking day with a little change purse.
I am. Like,
can you put ice cream on the nachos? Don't look at me
I'm
like that.
gonna
You do what
ask.
I say.
Oh my goodness. You guys remember those Ninja Turtle ones with the
with the bubblegum eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That was the shit. That
Rip
was
him
the shit
right out of
there.
his face, just tearing Leonardo's eyes out.
Yeah. That
There's-
was my jam.
I love those. Or the Spider-Man one. Although there was one that for the longest time I thought was one of those things that you just like, I don't know. I feel like we all have like childhood memories of like products or shows that didn't actually exist that we kind of just like made up and thought was real.
Sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's like Mandela effect.
But I remember the Spider-Man one you refer to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was real as hell.
Most of those characters had like like an identical ice cream bar. It was the same shit, and they just made it in whatever that character's face was and shoved the bubble gum in his face.
We all grew up in different areas of the country, I imagine, and so like that's wild to me that's like ice cream trucks were so on the ball nationally that they're like, no, we're gonna have these. We're gonna have the Ninja Turtles. We're gonna have the Spider-Mans.
I figure they all order from the same distributor.
I imagine but like, what is that pyramid? Like, is there a because I'm sure they're not all the same company, right? They're just all, like you said, ordering from the same central.
What if it's one guy though? One guy putting cross-eyed gumballs on all of these licensed characters.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah,
that's the Ron Howard movie I want to see.
I want to follow this all the way to the top and see like who's running this empire.
But there was
really.
one that was but there's one that was like discontinued that I was like obsessed with that I just found out was actually real and I didn't make up.
What was it?
Yeah.
It was called Mickey's Parade. And they were juice pops that weren't like the faces. They were like better. They were more well done than they had any right to be, because they straight up just look like perfect castings of each character's like full body, like a purple Mickey or like an orange Donald or whatever on a stick, and they were fantastic.
That sounds incredible. Yeah.
I just looked it up. I absolutely remember Mickey's Parade.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
I was obsessed with those.
No, I've got to Google it. Shit.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They're like prettier than they have any right to be, because like you kind of just assume anything made for kids is just like kind of shitty and slapdash, because most of the ice creams that we have are like we said, these cross-eyed monstrosities that like look like they're begging for death. But these look like they could just be like straight up toys.
Right.
Oh yeah, I remember these. Fuck yeah.
Right.
It's it's part of the fun that they beg for death, because you feel okay. They're in the prime of their life when you take them out.
That's right.
So that's kind of a shame.
Donald had like 30 good years left him, and I bit his head off.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, man.
These everybody stop and Google these.
Mm-hmm.
They look delicious.
They remind me of Squeeze-Its a little bit.
Oh yeah, I loved those Squeeze-Its.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I can't say without sounding weird as shit.
No, everybody knows what you mean. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should probably should we get into this?
Yeah, I guess we can get into this.
All right,
but first, we
it.
got some producers to name. We got a new producer. Special thanks to the baby from Eraserhead.
Sure.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm picturing you now, listening to us. Thank you to the baby from Eraserhead. Thank you to Chiz Lily Tits. Thank you.
Nice.
Another new one that's going to be an interesting one to keep saying. Thank you to Marshall Law. All caps. Thank you. Thank you to these 7 Bs.
Woo.
Thank you to Breezy Ruizy. Thank you. Thank you to Davey Francis for The Revenge.
Oh, that's the best one.
Second best. Yeah. Thank you to MVB. Thank you very much. Thank you to Phaedrus. Thank you very much. Thank you to Ryan, the silly money goose. Thank you to Chester's Prophet. Thank you to definitely not Guillermo del Toro.
I don't buy it.
I don't. Yeah, we're on to you.
Yeah.
Thank you to Brian, who Tom knows.
I do. That's
Yeah.
true. All right, let me step in here. Thank you to Doc Wear a Mask, You Fucks Garby.
Thank
Thank you
you.
to Bob Grenville.
Thank you.
Thank you to Steven.
Sure,
Nice.
Steven. Always a pleasure.
Thank you to Down Home Chicken.
Thank you.
Thank you to Hantumi the Confused Cyborg. Thank you to Asking Seven. Thank you to Hey, Fuck You, I'm Happy Ed.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you to I Was Born to Stare.
Thank
you
you.
to Dracula the Bus Driving Vampire.
Dracula.
Thank you to Tiger George Pratt Thompson. Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Nice.
Thank you to Dan Hackroyd.
Thank you, Dan.
And thank you to the Kool-Aid Man says, get your vaccine. COVID sucks. I have proof.
Show us the proof,
Show us
Kool-Aid
the proof,
Man.
Kool-Aid Man.
Now, I hope you feel better.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned this last time, but yeah, a pitcher full of Kool-Aid is just swimming with bacteria and viruses.
It's just like a primordial ooze. Like it's so full, chock full of shit that it's just going to become something at some point.
Yeah, it's like when ice in a gutter melts. It's like, oh god, is that a bone? Anyway,
It's the trailers.
Trailers.
We're oh man, we got the new Loki trailer, you guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do we think? What do we think of this?
I'm extremely on board. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just in general on board for like anything else Tom Hiddleston vehicles, because I feel like that's just an actor that I always want to see more of. Mm-hmm. And like I'm psyched for Loki. I loved WandaVision, but I've kind of like I feel like I'll have like one Marvel thing that I get really psyched about, and then like my excitement plateaus for a little bit until something else like particularly weird comes along. And I'm thinking Loki's gonna be that weird thing for me.
Yeah, I agree. I really like what they're showing here. WandaVision didn't quite work for me. I started Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and boy, am I bored.
Oh God, me
so
too.
far. But
I'm enjoying that.
it's fine. It's fine.
It's very standard Marvel shit, but I like the story they're spinning out there about
I'm sure we'll cover it.
White supremacy and all those other things. Yeah, I'm sure we'll cover it.
Yeah, I love the broad strokes of it. I just don't find it very charismatic scene by scene, I guess. But this, I don't know. This just looks fucking fun. It looks like it can go so many places.
Right. It's such a weird idea to throw in this like Terry Gilliam like Bureau of Time agents, and it's their job to preserve the timeline, and their boss is Owen Wilson. Yes.
Yeah.
All
is this anything in the comics like this, Tom? Do you know?
I don't know.
So I've read, I don't know in terms of just like the overall story, but in terms of just like every version of Loki, a lot of my like favorite properties usually have Loki, but now he's a dog in it. Woman Loki in Ragnarok was really good. That storyline. Or my particular favorite, Kid Loki. Kid Loki is one of my absolute favorites, which you see a lot of in Young Avengers specifically. The Young Avengers run that Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey worked on, where they it's the first time you got to see America Chavez like flashed out more as a character. In general, just like really good teen dynamics. It feels like, what if Brian Lee O'Malley did like a Marvel thing? And Kid Loki in that reminded me a little bit of this in terms of just like someone that is very aware of like all of the different forms that they have taken. So that's another reason why I'm like particularly excited for this, because I feel like it's been something that's been like criminally underutilized.
Can you explain to me, because I don't read comics, can you explain to me like the different types of Lokis, what that means? Where does that come from? Like, is it the same character taking on different forms?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the same character that takes on different forms, and he's like aware of it, and like sometimes it's self-imposed, sometimes it's like a punishment or like something that he like reverts to. There's pretty much like a laundry list of different reasons for each one, but what ends up happening is when somebody's like as self-aware of all of the changes this character has gone through, you get to make someone that's like a little bit more in the know than everyone around them, and you get to play with that. And that's why when they like know that and utilize that, it's something I love about the character, because he's a little bit more charmingly nihilistic than he normally is in terms of like, oh, I've seen every version of how this can turn out. And like Young Avengers, again, my favorite utilization of that, because at this point he's like a child and he's like, do you have any idea what I've been and where I've been and what I've done? And it's the kind of thing that I like wished. This isn't me like hating on the show. I like the show. It's just the direction that I would like it to go in is Doctor Who, in terms of something that's like lived forever and died 1,000 times. Loki in the comics is a version of that I love to see, and I'm really pumped to see that on screen.
Okay, yeah. So is it a multiverse situation in the comics? It feels like Marvel's going heavy on multiverse as like their next big push with this, and with of course Doctor Strange and stuff. That looks extremely fun.
Yeah. It's not always multiverse. When Loki's. Because like Vanessa was saying, it sometimes it'll just be like he fucks with something he shouldn't have, and it turns into a duck or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's very much like kind of a Rick character, or not. He's not in the way he behaves, but in just like his worldview.
Yeah. He's I would call him a Q.
Yeah,
from
exactly.
TNG.
Like Q, or like
yes, very much Q.
Yeah.
Kid Loki makes me think of like number 5 from the Umbrella Academy.
Oh yeah,
got it. So I bet they will whip all that stuff out.
I'm sure. I think they might be building towards, if not Young Avengers, definitely like West Coast Avengers with all the characters they've been introducing in these series. So
I think they also know just it's really useful for writers to have a multiverse and time travel, and everything's just out of its mind, because they can pretty much do whatever they want then, right?
Exactly. That's what makes comics so fun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Just do fucking whatever.
So yeah, this looks solid.
Yeah.
This explains the terrible logo.
Yeah.
Because the logo for this is terrible. And it's like, oh, okay, different multiverse.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
The logo
cooler
reminds
if you're,
me
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Of that like it was like a movie about toys that didn't do as well as Toy Story that starred that one guy from Princess Bride. I wish I could remember. Toys in the Attic or something. Yeah. It was called Toys in the Attic or something like that, and all of the like logos were like a different toy spelling it out, and that's what Loki looked like.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it was one of those movies where it's just like, well, someone made that.
Toys in the Attic. He played Sir Handsome. I just looked it up.
That's it.
Because I had to. Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah, that's some real bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know about this thing.
Right?
Trying to slide this under here.
It's just a real bummer of a concept.
All right. Any other thoughts about Loki? Or should we move on to the next trailer?
No, man, it looks dope. Let's move
on. Jupiter's Legacy. What's going on here?
This is a Mark Miller book that I have not read.
Okay.
But I'm curious to hear what Vanessa has to say about this, but I'll say that I'm sort of burned out on superhero deconstruction at this point because it's become like we've got Kick-Ass, we've got The Boys, we've got Invincible. It's just not...
Umbrella Academy, I would say, counts too.
Not like this. This is a specific thing where it's like it's taking like the Silver Age. I think Silver Age is right. But it's taking like the traditional idea of superheroes and making it like Smash Mouth, R-rated, like upending it, having the characters be shitty and stuff. And after we've had Watchmen, we've had all the Snyder movies, we've had
Arch Enemy.
Yeah. Yes. We've seen this so much that these stories aren't automatically interesting just because they're a deconstruction.
Yeah.
I feel
it has not Timothy Olyphant.
Josh Duhamel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, thank you. I can never figure out why his face disappears to me. And he's basically just like if Timothy Olyphant was like put into like one of those square sushi makers.
It's like a bad police sketch of Timothy Olyphant. Yeah. That's Josh Duhamel. But yeah, I feel like this needs... There's like interesting aspects to this trailer because it's like about like this guy who's supposed to be like Superman, and then he wants his family to take over for him, and it's talking about all the pressure of being a hero, which could be interesting to me because it seems like, and again, I've not read this particular book, but it seems like this could be less about the superheroes themselves being shitty and more about how like the kind of pressure you face when you're a Justice League member. It's something, I think there's a line in the trailer where it's like, well, if you save somebody dies, and if you mess up, somebody dies, so you really can't win.
You know what it reminds me of is like after Star Wars, I don't even know if it was related to Star Wars, but we got stuff like Masters of the Universe, or I guess Krull, or like even like Dragon Slayer, where it's these like everybody was trying to be the next right? The next Star Wars. And so we've just gotten flooded with superhero upon superhero and metas and so on and so forth. And it's just like, we kind of picked one. We kind of picked like a main thread. And everything else, like, it doesn't mean it's bad necessarily. Like I enjoy The Boys. I enjoy some of the stuff that, that wasn't a comment. The genre.
It wasn't a comment on the quality of those things when I read them.
No, it's not, but it is oversaturation for sure.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately history is people will look back on these and they'll be like cult hits, but I think it's gonna be, the market will be so flooded with it that we'll only really remember the big things. And this, I don't know what, this was kind of exhausting of a trailer.
It's also not a very good It's also not a very good trailer. It doesn't really tell you what it's about. But yeah, Vanessa, what do you think? What are your thoughts on Jupiter's Legacy?
Yeah, like, I mean, they're pretty much aligning pretty heavily with yours in terms of like, I'm excited for Invincible because Invincible's a property that I have like read, loved, and did the deconstruction before the wave of deconstructions. So like that's one of the more recent ones that's happened that I'm on board for. And like of course I watched Arch Enemy because, you know, that was another like similar deconstruction that I was like, all right, that had like some like interesting takes on it. But it's starting to get to that point in terms of like that oversaturation where you're not only seeing like heavy deconstructions, you're seeing deconstructions from people that don't entirely know what they're subverting.
Precisely.
So it just becomes like this like muddy, messy message where you really can't subvert anything if you don't have an understanding of the classics other than like what if this but they cuss. Like anyone that's ever done an alternate take on something, anybody that's ever done like a dissection of something has done a great memorable job because they also know the source material better than anyone else. And most of these feel like it's somebody that just took a cursory glance at the genre and they're like, but I want to do something different, and that's what made it through the pitch room. And they're not fun. They're usually like pretty soulless in terms of just like there's no actual anything being said. It just feels like what you pitch because you think is going to be sold and not because you're actually trying to say something.
Yeah, we've talked about it on one of these shows. I can't remember, but that's like I feel like that's like the major problem with Zack Snyder's DC movies is he's doing the deconstruction without beginning from the standpoint of, well, let's establish these characters and who they are, and then we can subvert it. But like Jupiter's Legacy has like kind of two strikes because I don't think Mark Miller is very good.
Oh my God, I can finally breathe a sigh of relief that I get to like share this opinion and also like share this opinion without producers saying that I can't share this opinion. I'm finally out of like a few projects in which I couldn't say that I didn't think Mark Miller was very good, but I don't think he's very good.
He's not. I will. My God, the ending of Wanted, I was like, oh, are you kidding? He has no idea how to end his stories. Anyway.
Yeah, it's the only time I've ever heard my father, who's seen some total 10 movies in his whole life and he's in his 70s, go, oh, come on, at the end of it. Mark Miller is like one of those dudes where it's like, if you ever like eat at a restaurant where somebody serves something on something stupid because they're doing something that's like unique for the sake of it and they're just like manufacturing cork, it feels like that.
Yeah. So not super jazzed for this one, but maybe. No. I don't know. There's like there's too much going on.
It's the one. It's definitely the one on this that I'm like oddly the least excited for.
Yeah.
And we have some stuff on here that I'm not excited for at all. But let's go to the next one. This is Monster.
Yeah.
This is shit, I forgot the actor's name.
Jeffrey
Kelvin.
Wright's in it.
Jeffrey Wright, thank you.
I think it was Kelvin. I'm gonna remember it. Nope.
I don't know.
I lost it. I lost it in my brain.
It's not the 2003 Monster. Mm-mm. It's not Monsters Ball. It's not Monster Hunter.
Sure isn't. It's not any of those things.
Monster Squad. This looks good. This looks intense.
Yeah, I don't know much about this. It's apparently based on a book. It looks kind of similar to The Night Of. If you ever watched The Night Of, where it's...
I have not.
This kid who's basically a good kid gets put on trial for a murder that he may or may not have committed. And this, I'm getting like a similar vibe from this because it's a lot about like prejudice and how... the judicial system is kind of rigged against people, specifically like younger people of color.
Right. It's about the idea of him making one mistake and is it going to define his life?
Right. And it like feels pretty timely.
The word monster for them labeling him as such.
Precisely. I literally just before we started recording, I just read something where like the governor, I think, of Maryland just vetoed a bill that would have made it illegal to sentence minors to life imprisonment without parole.
Huh.
And it's like this fucking mentality. I think it's that exact mentality is kind of part of what this movie appears to be commenting on.
Yeah. It looks really intense. It's on Netflix. When does it? I can't. Here's the thing. I'm trying to look this movie up right now.
Nothing's coming up. Yeah,
it is wiped clean of IMDb. I can't freaking find it.
It's so hard to find, and I actually read the book when I was in high school and loved it and didn't think it would ever be a movie. So I'm kind of like, for something that's as like intense and going to be very heavy as I know it will be, I am excited to see how it's going to come on screen, because there's some narrative elements to it that I'm pretty psyched to see play out.
Really?
Oh, word.
So, like, it has, like, those similar rings to The Night of in terms of just, like, examining, like, this is me just talking about the book. I have no idea if, like, the movie's going to cover this, but from what I can see, it looks like it's not much, sadly, had to be done in terms of just like updating public perception, but just to now. And the soundtrack looked like it was going to be fantastic, but like the book itself, like y'all said, covers someone's like predisposition to assume whether or not someone's like a bad person, a monster, like based off of like one mistake. But basically the kid that's on trial is also like a giant movie dork, and he's like in a film club at his high school. And so he's like, at the beginning of the movie, he's like at the book, he's like been in prison for some time. So he decides to catalog everything that's happening to him in a screenplay. And so there are these elements in the book of like how the story plays out and then how he's writing it, and kind of comparing the two in terms of like, why do people make the choices that they do and the assumptions that they make. And it ends on like a very heartbreakingly nebulous question in which his like lawyer who's been defending him this whole time also like doesn't want to hug him, and so it like leaving him to be like, was she defending me because it was her job, but now she like decided that I'm like the quote unquote monster, and like how he's finishing up his actual story versus the story that he's writing. So in terms of just like narrative, it's balanced really well in a book. I don't know how it's going to happen in a movie in terms of like, what does the narrator see versus like what is the narrator telling us.
It looks like, so I found information on this movie. It premiered in 2018.
Really?
And it's taken this long to get to Netflix.
Oh my God.
I'm sure the pandemic might have had something to do with it, but
yeah, it was also originally called All Rise. It doesn't seem to be getting great reviews, or at least its Rotten Tomatoes score is not very high.
Yikes.
So I'm wondering if there was some problems with the way they shot it. It only has 7 reviews, though, but those are out of Sundance. So I'm guessing, it had maybe some narrative issues, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
And they sat on it for a little bit.
I wonder, because there's also like every once in a while I'll like watch something at a film festival that I feel like 20 of my peers adore and I loathed, and then there'll be another one that's the inverse.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So yeah, you never really know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really hard to tell with festival scores.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this is based off a book. The movie's 90 minutes, which feels, I don't know. That's a little scary too, right?
Yeah, it feels like a rom-com amount of time for something that's like a lot to dissect.
That's like barely making your runtime.
Right. So, I don't know. I'm still going to check it out. This trailer, it's really compelling. The director has done a lot of music videos. I think this might be their first movie. Let me see. Filmography. Yeah, it's their first movie. They've done a shit ton of music videos. So I don't know. Still curious, but a little suspicious.
Curious, suspicious, like tentatively at least looking forward to how it developed, but also like, ooh, the like hanging around for 2 years thing definitely makes me nervous.
Right.
3 years.
Oh shit. Oh my God, I forgot what year it was.
Uh-oh. I was watching this trailer, oh, this could be good, and then every fact we've unearthed, I'm like, oh, that's not a good sign.
Well, yeah, there's nothing that says it's bad.
It's nothing about the quality of the movie.
It's just a lot of red flags.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of smoke.
Yeah, exactly. But who knows?
Yeah.
All right, next trailer is sort of a trailer. It's more like a piece of product placement for Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's Paul Rudd getting attacked by a bunch of Stay Puft marshmallow men.
Yeah.
So my first instinct was like, this doesn't feel like Ghostbusters. And then my second instinct was, no, it's exactly what Ghostbusters is.
Yeah,
it's like when commercial bullshit with cartoon ghosts.
When they start cooking themselves, I was like, here we go.
Yeah. There's the thing.
I'm down with this.
Yeah,
because you're right. At first, it's like flubber. I'm like, okay. Like, are they going to dance and sing him a song? And like, no, they're going to start cooking each other on a grill and eating each other. I'm like, all right.
Hell yes.
I'm down with this.
Yeah, I guess. This is my question: does the charm of Ghostbusters not work with CGI? Because like, with the nostalgia I have for Ghostbusters, it's all silly bullshit.
Yeah.
But this and the other one that they did, there is a level of grit in the originals. It's not much, but it's there, right? Where it's like,
right, it's the
like skeletons with skin coming off of them, and like practical effects, and
the ghosts like, being these freaky ass like puppets.
Yeah. There's like a classic horror aspect or element to it that when it's like these are just kind of cartoon characters, and I don't know. I don't know if I'm just gotten old. I don't know if it's the sort of thing where it's like. It's not repeatable in my mind. Like, it's kind of a fluke movie, the first one, because the second one, many people believe was bad too. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on this movie? I'm curious about it, but I don't know.
I'm charmed by the villain of the second one.
Janosch specifically, right?
Yeah.
I've got a Janosch figure hanging on my wall.
Oh, that's so cool.
I like the second one because I was a kid when it came out. And
exactly.
So,
well, yeah. It's funny too.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, plot wise, it's like, okay, this is a little, but I don't know. I'm in a weird place where it's like I had nothing. I don't like. Ghostbusters was huge for me growing up, but it's like I don't have. Even so, I still feel like I don't have a dog in this fight. Like I didn't really care about I didn't get up in arms or anything about the 2016 version. I still haven't seen it. And it's kind of like the same with this one. I don't know if I'm gonna watch this one because I'm kind of in the. I guess a similar position to you, Dave, where it's like, well, I'm fine with the ones I have. I don't think this is like a rich universe that needs to be explored.
I know what you're talking about because I grew up with it. It's the first movie I saw in theaters. Dressing up like the Ghostbusters, etc. But like, there's nothing precious about it.
Not really, no.
Yeah.
I don't have that preciousness with it. I think the first one is like one of those things that's really hard to do. Like you said, because of those practicals, because, when you have 4 comedians and you're like asking them to react to something, it's a lot easier for things to feel more organic and tangible when you have those practicals. Not just that, but in general, like CGI ghosts, unless it's like used for the purposes of just like something like a bit more family friendly or comedy, it doesn't the stakes aren't really that high. It's not when you're like, watching like a Stan Winston creature and you're just like, you like feel like there's something in the room with them, and it has that blend of like scary and funny. And like, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy the CGI monsters in the 2016 one because I know my own personal bias, and it's like that nostalgia that I have for like the Scooby-Doo ghost.
They actually looked good in a lot of scenes. The mannequin scene I really enjoyed with
the mannequins
look
great. The mannequin scene with Leslie Jones was great. The 2016 one also was just like a thing of just like everybody didn't want to be the straight man, so it was just a lot of like competing for your attention with a lot of the jokes that were being made.
Yeah, that's that Apatow humor that exhausts the shit out of me.
It's that Apatow. It's everybody is bombastic, so there's no fucking Bill Murray to like take the back seat and, you know when to like let somebody else be the big energy, that didn't really meet that match. But like I get the space for it just because there's all, whether it's Ghostbusters or Scooby-Doo or whatever like children's monster of the weekish type thing that exists, or like not really children but like family friendly, I see the slot for it. That's always there. Is it for me? No. But like I know I have like a bunch of nieces and little cousins that like got way more into it with the 2016 version than I did, because it's like this accessible entry point to things that usually feel not that accessible. Because like if you look at it, a lot of like children's horror media now is either like deeply neutered or non-existent, versus like when we were kids we had a gorgeous spectrum of children's horror between like
they didn't care. They
didn't
like,
care.
Poltergeist, here you go, PG.
The Witches, Courage the Cowardly Dog, you name it.
Fuck.
Like, you know, we had this huge spectrum of children's horror from like actually pretty scary but still for kids to like a little bit more reined back to like Scooby-Doo, to where we can jump in from any point and still like feel like we're not being talked down to, but like it's still legitimately scary. And those spaces now are so much fewer and far between that like in a way it feels like a lot of the Ghostbusters reboots are some of the few entry points that they do have that isn't like animated, like your Gravity Falls, or things that are good but they aren't necessarily like the live action stuff that they crave.
Yeah, that's a very good like way to justify these existing, because like I said, like I'm pretty indifferent about them, but if there's people who really enjoy them and are getting into Ghostbusters through them, then more power to them, you know?
Yeah, that reminds me of kind of how I responded to The House with a Clock in Its Walls, where I was like, I'm glad this exists for kids today, because this is going to be a movie where kids today, like 10 years from now, are going to be like, you remember that fucked up movie we watched?
Yeah. There's a few movies like that where it's like, I'm glad, that was the one with Giant Oprah.
Giant Oprah was A Wrinkle in Time.
A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, yeah.
Not a great movie, but that was also a movie where I was like, that feels like it's like Labyrinth, where kids are going to look back
like
on that and be like, that was
Oz.
fucking out of its mind.
What was that movie?
Yeah, I highly appreciate modern kid movies they're just fucked up.
Yeah, it's being weird as shit.
Yeah.
Just do it.
And they do exist, but yeah, they're few and far in between now. So yeah.
And I don't think it's specifically a problem of kids' movies. It's just most major studios are real gun shy about making stuff that's weird.
Right. So they have to call it Ghostbusters and just do Ghostbusters again. And that's fine. Yeah, this isn't hurting anybody. I'm not sure whether I'm going to like it or not, I guess.
Yeah, it might not be for me necessarily, but like I mean, there's probably going to be like some child in my family who's going to like demand a coveralls. I couldn't remember the name coveralls, even though that's like what I've been living in for most of quarantine.
It's Jason Reitman, right? The hit director of the movie Labor Day. Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Good for
That's
him.
exciting. Yeah. All right. Well, next trailer, Mainstream. This is Andrew Garfield reminding us all that he can act.
We said this after we saw Under the Silver Lake. I only want to see Andrew Garfield play maniacs.
Yeah,
Same.
This is like nihilist Andrew Garfield. He's like, I was fucking Spider-Man. No one cares. I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah. It's just, man. Yes, It's him and Maya Hawke. He's a social media star, and she's a aspiring filmmaker, and he recruits her to make videos for him, and it's all about just what a shitty, weird maniac he is and what this culture does to people. It looks good to me.
Yeah, I'm pretty... Anything that just feels like a very specific capsule in time of something that I get to like have that I can look back on, I adore, because in 20 years I'm gonna probably watch this and be like, fuck. That was all of us at the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say the flip side to that is because I'm not at all. But I was gonna say, I know like I'm too old for TikTok. Okay, I'll be more specific. Like that kind of like TikTok and Vine, that sort of generation of making content or comedy or whatever for the internet is not in my wheelhouse, but it's like hugely important for the generation like right behind me and the generation behind that. So this, I feel like this, I'm glad that this movie exists for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that it's for that generation of people. Does that make sense? I don't feel like I articulated that well. Like it's one of those things where it comes out, you're like, oh, I think that I'm too old for this, but I recognize that this is a huge part of culture for young people right now, and this is something that needs to be explored and talked about, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah,
it looks... And I also like this style. It reminded me a little bit of like the movie Rules of Attraction with Dawson.
Vanderbeek.
And it's just
with the
Vanderbeek. And that's actually a sequel to American Psycho, and it's really fucking weird the way they tell the story. They do a lot of weird narrative things. And like I like weird movies, and I'm glad they keep existing. And this seems like this like Logan Paul type is a good idea. Shout out to the fact that this is Gia Coppola, who is the granddaughter of Francis Ford Coppola. She's niece of Sofia Coppola, and it stars Maya Hawke, who is the daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman.
Well,
it's all fucking just Hollywood kids making a movie.
Did you spot Schwartzman in there?
Yeah, and there's Schwartzman, her cousin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. There's nothing. I'm not saying this in a good or bad way. It's just funny.
Yeah.
It's just all these Coppolas, man.
There are a lot of
everywhere.
Coppolas. There's so many Coppolas.
There's so many Coppolas, and like before I realized it was Gia Coppola, I was like, man, this kind of reminds me of like if Sofia Coppola did like a Velvet Goldmine.
Yeah.
And then it was Gia Coppola, and I was like, well, that makes sense. I do have this fear, and it's pretty unfounded thus far, even though like I really like Tom, like am pretty excited for what they're investigating, because even though I'm like honestly like probably 1 year removed from TikTok, but I like was enjoying the Vine generation when that was a thing, because like while like the influencer aspect of it is annoying, I do like that a lot of these programs specifically are like showing the younger generation that things like editing and like taking like creative control and the shit that you make isn't as unattainable as it was previously seemed, because like most of these kids are like learning editing that took us years to do on like Premiere or Final Cut, that they're learning from an app, and they're better at it, and their timing is getting better than us, and like we're honestly gonna have like a boom of editors like 10 years from now, mark my words, because of TikTok and Vine.
Oh, you're so right.
Like, our generation had like a small version of it in terms of just like AVNs and uploading that to YouTube, but really not that much. Like more than anything, we're a bunch of coders because we all learned HTML from MySpace. So like this next boom is going to be a bunch of editors that are really good at it because that's what TikTok is doing. So like that's the dissection that I'm excited to see. But I'm nervous that it's going to be a bling ring, and that I love the trailer and then I see the movie and I'm bummed as hell.
Right. It's also really interesting that like editing does feel like it's a natural thing that doesn't have to be taught. Like people can sort of naturally pick up on how editing works.
If you've been raised on a steady diet of video content, then movies, TV,
so.
like it really conditions you to be like, oh well, this like you're saying, you just start to notice things like, well, this feels like it's too long. Let's cut that.
I remember, when I took editing classes, I remember even feeling like it was obsolete. It was like the things the teachers were teaching that like you can sort of nowadays, it's just you can just pick it up.
Anybody could just pick it up, and everyone's becoming more aware of it, because the role of the editor has also been like more and more even closer to like the person that has the control of like what the actual idea is for the last 30 years. Because in quarantine, I've watched a lot of reality television from like the start of reality television to now, and I've also worked on reality television as a producer before, and I've noticed that like in terms of what ends up being the final cut, the editor is getting a lot better at like controlling what you see, and like who gets like the villain's cut, so to speak, who gets like the hero cut, like how does the tone of this actually like take place, but it's also getting harder and harder to like notice them because they're becoming so good and seamless at just like melting into the production.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like, you know, you can always tell who like Scorsese's editor was because people only knew like the names of 3 editors because they were really good at it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, Scorsese's his grandma editor, Thelma. She's fucking fantastic. Spoon something.
Schoonerville.
Thelma.
Schoonhauser. Spoon.
Someone's yelling it. Someone's yelling it right now.
Someone's yelling it, and I'm so sorry. It's normally like pretty close to the tip of my tongue.
Spoonmaker. Yeah.
At one point.
She's great.
Yeah, she's amazing.
They're great.
Versus like now, watch any piece of media and you're just like, damn, that editor was smart.
Yeah. It's become more obtainable. When I took editing classes, and it was like 2003, and it was like, all right, we're going to sit you down in front of Avid. Now, this is the industry standard. And it was just like, where's the mouse? And they're like, you have to press the buttons on the keyboard. And I'm like, tell you what, give me the footage. I'm going to go home to my Mac, and I'll edit this in like an hour.
Yeah.
Because it was just like Final Cut has already like blown this out of the water, and now it just keeps going in that direction where it's like I Lord knows what they like. I couldn't even begin to know how they're editing their stuff now.
Yeah, the industry standard changes like every 3 years.
Yeah.
So we've got a big crop of them coming in like 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. That's gonna be great. Any other thoughts on mainstream?
Just I like those dance sequences that they showed us.
God, I got in my car this morning. There was a Coppola in the back seat filming something, and I had to like take a broom and be like, "Get out of here, you fucking hipster!"
Shoot.
Yeah.
Coppola's.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I was just smoking and looking out a window, just kind of being sad, and then one of them just showed up and started filming.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Coppola's left their gate open again.
Next trailer is For Those Who Wish Me Dead. This is the movie Firestorm, but now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Angelina Jolie.
Pretty much. And
I
cannot wait to watch it. Oh man.
This is Angelina Jolie is fighting fires.
Well, she's a Firewatch. She's up in the tower.
She's doing Firewatch.
Yeah.
And then there's like crime. This crime. Littlefinger shows up.
Yeah.
And starts doing
Littlefinger
crime.
sets fire to the forest.
Yeah.
Damn you, Mayor Carcetti.
I am so happy movies like these still exist.
I know.
Because this is just fucking Firestorm.
Yeah.
A movie from when was Firestorm?
1998.
Yeah. It's just a bad action like cliffhanger or anything else.
Oh, cliffhanger.
Where,
fucks, don't you dare.
Oh yeah, no. But you know what I mean. It's this ridiculous fucking action.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say Firestorm is ridiculous and is also a bad movie.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Don't you put that evil on cliffhanger.
Yeah. But they all take the movies. They take themselves so seriously.
Right, yeah.
And I fucking love it. Punisher's there too.
Oh man.
Oh, and Nicholas Hoult, who's always some beautiful new deranged thing every time he pops up.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, his the great, holy shit.
Apparently, I'm looking up the cast. Tyler Perry's in here.
Yeah, you see him in the trailer. He's in the Yes.
Oh shit! Yeah. I missed him.
Yeah, what is fascinating is if you look at the cast list on Wikipedia, everyone's listed at their characters except for Tyler Perry. And is Tyler Perry himself in this movie?
He's just playing himself. Oh,
that'd be
man.
amazing.
I would buy 2 tickets if that was the case.
Oh, God. A row. I would take a row.
Everybody else is a fictional character. And then there's Tyler Perry.
He just is in this fire as himself.
Man. I need a second Alex Cross movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, it's been way too long. It was 2012. Did that not do well? Did Alex Cross not do well?
I can't imagine it did.
God damn it.
Because we probably would have got more. if it had.
Yeah.
I remember there being like an Alex Cross experience at like a theater that I went to where they like had an example of the seat in the front row where it's like, if you watch, there's also this additional thing that happens to your seat. I think it was like rumbling or something.
Yeah, it was it was 4D. Yeah, we saw the Equalizer in 4D.
It was terrible.
Yeah,
it was a terrible experience.
Every time somebody got punched, the seat would jab you in the back.
Why?
Why am I paying $10 extra for this experience?
Like, don't you want to experience getting punched by Denzel Washington?
In the back? I never want that 4th D.
I mean, I do. I don't want to pay for a chair to do it for me.
Yeah,
if I'm going to get punched by Denzel, I want to get punched by Denzel.
Exactly.
Not a chair.
But this looks like my jam. This is exactly what I need.
Incredible.
What makes me so bummed is that this didn't come out in like the mid 90s, in which we would have gotten like a ride that would have been around for way too long out of it.
We would have gotten a Universal Studios stunt show that's still playing 25 years later.
Yeah. Or just like a section of the studio tour where it's just like, and now you're really hot. Oh, look, kids, it's Angelina Jolie. Like, we would have gotten that out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how long was the earthquake ride there? Jesus Christ.
Oh,
it still kind of is.
The fucking backdraft ride.
In at least the Florida one, the earthquake ride began with them having to like tell you what the earthquake movie was.
Yes.
Like they do like a video where they're like explaining like, so there was this movie called Earthquake, but it was a great ride. Like, I get it. They're just like, look, we're hanging on to this.
Waterworld better stick around, man. This might be like the sixth podcast I've been on talking about it, but it's maybe because it's like the most important thing in the world to me. If anything happens to the Waterworld ride, I will fucking light something on fire. Like the people I still need to take to go see it.
I love that ride. I worked at that Universal for a while, and you clock in right next to the Waterworld ride. So I would clock in every day and see an explosion and like marauders hanging around
with their jet skis and shit.
Yeah, yeah. It was so fucking great.
I'm just thinking about Waterworld now.
Waterworld stunt show. I got my second shot today. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I'm there.
Yeah, let's do it.
I will get tickets just to go see the Waterworld stunt show. If like the rest of the crowd is like if like the rest of the park is like too crowded for me to like still feel comfortable, fuck it, I'll go home. As long as I get to see the Waterworld stunt show, I am okay. Like there's a show where like if you're not a fan of like Apatow humor, you're definitely not gonna like it because it's a lot of like hang on and then they lose you. But Love on Netflix was like Judd Apatow show with like Travis Rust and some other people. Anyways,
Paul Rust, but yeah.
Paul Rust, yeah. I always mix up. In the middle of it, the show takes like a behind the scenes look at the Waterworld show.
Oh,
and that is the worth it reason that they like have the behind the scenes look, and it's just like now we're rehearsing a fight in the middle of it just because I will do anything to get closer to that ride. That's a show.
You should get I got like seasonal gig during Halloween. Fun fact, they're all actors, so everybody stays in character, or a lot of them do, in like the break rooms and stuff.
Oh, that's exhausting.
So like It is and it isn't, because I'm like getting lunch and Freddy Krueger cuts me in line.
Oh my
God! He's acting like Freddy Krueger, and it's like, what am I gonna do? It's fucking Freddy Krueger.
I'm going to be the first one to get this rectangular piece of pizza.
Yeah, it's if you roll with it, it's a lot of fun.
I don't know why my Freddy Krueger sounds like Ted DiBiase, but
it's all right. It's all right.
Shall we move on to the last trailer?
Yeah, this is Space Jam?
Yeah.
A New Legacy?
Sure.
Come on and slam.
Come on and slam. Yeah, they got the song in there.
Yeah, they do.
Is Don Cheadle the villain, like himself? Is like he playing himself? Because everybody's playing themselves, right?
Oh my God, I hope to God.
I think Don Cheadle's like some kind of AI.
Okay. But I just like the version where he's playing himself. But I guess there is... It's the same as the other Space Jam.
I was going to say, there's precedent set by the previous Space Jam where you had Bill Murray and Michael Jordan as themselves, and then Wayne Knight is playing a character.
Playing a character.
Yeah.
But it's John Cheadle. I don't know. It's fine. Any thoughts? Any?
I feel nothing for Space Jam because, like we were talking about earlier, I was too old for Space Jam when it came out. Like,
same here.
I saw it, so I was like, I think I saw it on video, because you couldn't escape that fucking soundtrack. That was everywhere.
Yeah.
So I eventually watched it. I was like, yeah, okay, and I just didn't watch it again ever. So I have no nostalgia for it. But this trailer does something that bothers the shit out of me, which is, and I've been getting a lot of it on fucking Twitter the past couple of weeks, but like we've hit a point where these conglomerates have gotten so big, and there's a lot of creative bankruptcy in the biggest studios, specifically Warner Brothers.
Sure. Yep. Yeah.
So it's just, we seem to think that like making a reference is the same as creating something.
Right.
I don't know if I'm articulating that particularly well, but
no,
you're getting to nostalgia overload, right? You're getting to Ready Player One.
Yeah, this is Ready Player One. It literally has the Iron Giant stepping on houses, and I'm like, did you fuckers not even watch the movie that you made?
It's the Onion article that we're running out of retro.
Yeah.
It's that where like everything's sort of folding in on itself. Because, like, people pointed out, the Droogs from Clockwork Orange are
Danny
in the audience.
DeVito's Penguin is in the audience.
Yeah. And it's like, so what are we even doing?
What is this?
It's these companies they've lasted so long, and they're just like, well, hey, here's a good idea. Let's cram everything in there. That said, it looks like it's just a couple scenes. It's just the audience. Like, someone had the smart idea of like, instead of a regular audience, just have it be all our characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I get it. Also, it is kind of irritating, but it isn't.
Why is it called Space Jam?
Yeah.
Why was the other one called Space Jam?
Because they were playing basketball against aliens from space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wanted to turn the world into a theme park.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
See, I was like at the perfect age for Space Jam. So like I loved the first one while also acknowledging that it's not that great of a movie. Like I loved it, but I loved it because I was a child. I loved it because I was a child and Bugs Bunny was playing basketball. But like,
yeah, that's cool. I don't care what age you are.
Because it's cool as hell. Because it's cool as hell.
Because it fucking rules. That's why.
Michael Jordan's in it. Like, you know, I say that it's not that good of a movie in terms of like I still fucking love it. I still like adore it and enjoy it, and it's just, you know, it was like something that I was like a combination of just like a lot of my favorite things, and I was a kid, but like even as an adult, you're like, that's loose.
Yeah.
But like Space Jam 2 is fandom with no actual fandom in it. Like it's back to that same thing we were talking about before. It's people covering things that they like don't actually know what the classics were, because the thing is, you could be like a giant fanboy ass dork and still have an original new idea while paying homage because you know it. But like you said, the Iron Giant is in it and the Droogs are in it because they don't have a fucking clue, because it's just like, hey, we're feeding you fandom even though we've never watched this shit ourselves. Because like, talk to any executive, they are so disconnected from what people actually like or think, and they'll just like put out what numbers do well. That like I've gotten the opportunity to like interview creators that make things that are based off of things that they like, that don't feel like it's just throwing references at you. It's just they have a really good knowledge of the fundamentals, so they make a new idea, because that's how ideas happen. Like if like I interviewed the creator of Courage the Cowardly Dog, and that dude loves 70s horror. He loves Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. And if you watch his show, you see those references, but those references aren't there because it's like, oh, hey, get it, I see this. It's because that's what built him. Like when you watch like Us, it's like, oh yeah, Jordan Peele watched a lot of Twilight Zone and he really likes, you know, Stanley Kubrick, but like at least whether you like it or you don't like the movie, it's a new thing that like took inspiration but was still something new. And in this case, it's just cud. It's just cow cud. We're just regurgitating the new idea over and over again, and we don't actually know what the fundamentals are.
It's perfect for a Space Jam sequel, because if you remember, Space Jam is a thing because of a Hanes commercial.
Yep.
Like, it's a movie based on an underwear commercial where Michael Jordan teamed up with Bugs Bunny. It's the only reason it exists. And it's like the sums up Space Jam perfectly.
It's one of those things where it's cynical, but it doesn't feel particularly new. Like that cynicism that's coming from it. You know what I mean? Where it's not any more precious or less precious, I would say, than the original Space Jam.
No.
So it's like, sure, you might as well exist.
Well, yeah, I'm not like this. I'm not the stuff that I was saying. It's not about like preserving the preciousness of Space Jam.
You're right about that trend, which is, at least that seems to be starting. Which is, I mean, it's everything. It's Jurassic World. It's Star Wars.
It's just
everything is coming back, and we it's uncontrollable.
We also,
and it's really hard for new ideas to get through.
We also exist. I mean, it was partially true back when we were growing up and like Gen X was growing up, because that was the advent of like cable, where it's kind of a lot of the stuff that you like is still accessible to you. And I think that probably like the advent of cable probably has something to do with how like what you were talking about earlier, how like old school editors kind of started to get phased out and now it's accelerated. Because right now, like kids who are growing up right now, there's nothing like, I don't understand what you would even be nostalgic for, because everything still exists. Like it didn't go anywhere. Like everything is on the internet instantly whenever you want to watch it. So it's like Space Jam never really went away. Like who has nostalgia for SpongeBob? Like SpongeBob's still on TV. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, I think people continue. I think there's eras of things.
Mm-hmm.
People,
yeah, that's
like
true.
Just because, like for example, I have nostalgia for say Strong Bad. I could watch Strong Bad anytime.
Oh yeah,
but I don't, because that it's moved on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you become a different person.
Yeah.
So I think there's that element.
Yeah, for sure. I'm fascinated to see what happens to entertainment in like 10 years.
The internet.
I hope it's not this.
Well,
like, I hope it's not just more Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Yeah, I think when people look back at now, they're gonna talk about this in terms of history books and stuff, about what the internet did to us, right? Because the internet is still very new, and how that's affecting entertainment as well as everything else, you know?
Yeah, and it's accelerated.
It's accelerating
many
everything.
things, like literally everything.
Yeah, this is just one more thing that I have no goddamn clue how it's going to end up. If it's going to be like Star Trek, where we're going to have World War III and then we're going to calm down and have replicators or whatever.
That'd be sweet.
I don't know, man. That would be sweet.
Then we can replicate all the Space Jams we want.
Yeah. Yeah, then you can holodeck a Space Jam.
Ah, fuck yeah. Honestly, that would be all I would do, is shit like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts on Space Jam? People excited?
I'm still going to take a giant edible and like watch it with friends.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, no, I am 100% certain we'll watch this on like one of our patron movie nights or something. Like this, this is going to be watched. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah, I can already tell from I can already tell from this preview that LeBron's a better actor than Michael Jordan was.
Yes,
Michael
Jordan is such a bad actor.
Like you forget for like, honestly, I forgot for like a little bit, because like you always have that nostalgia amnesia where you're just like the warm takes over, and then you don't like think about like the elements of it that sucked, and then I like watch it again as an adult, and I was like, oh fuck, I could tell you something other than baseball that he should not have tried. It's so bad, but
it's phenomenally bad. It's like endearingly bad.
Yes, it's endearingly bad, especially now when you like watch any like documentary interview in which people are just talking about like Michael Jordan and who he is.
What like a motherfucker he was.
Where it's just like, I wonder what like life crippling insult took place seconds after that take happened.
Oh man, yeah.
All right, I do have one final thing to say, because I just looked up the director. I didn't realize it was the director of Undercover Brother. So I am 100% behind Space Jam: A New Legacy now. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I remember
it's like EP'd by Ryan Coogler.
Yeah, it is. Malcolm Dealey, director of Undercover Brother, I Am In. That's all I need.
It's a pretty solid film.
I love that movie.
Oh, man.
That came out like the same month as Super Troopers, and I remember being like, this is it for comedy. This is the height.
Yeah, we're never... Yeah, like February 2002, like around there. Yeah.
All right, we should move on to news stories. But first, we got some patrons to thank. Thank you to E.T., the Extravagant Terresticle.
Yeah, you.
Thank you to Cody Johnston's Time Machine Noise. Always a pleasure. Thanks to Pete Forpagel. Thank you very much. Thanks to Glitterous. Thank you, Glitterous. Thank you to Thanks for having Jason Pargin on. Here's $25. Thank you very much. Thank you to the Midnight Patron with Patrons at Midnight. Thank you to Exploding Runes.
Woo.
Thank you to Andrew, how, thank you. Thank you to Vincent. And thank you to Rev MD. Thank you very much.
Oh, man, let me jump in here. Thank you to John Muniz. Thank you to Wavy Rancheros. Thank you to Dr. DNA. Thank you to
Doctor.
Lauren Gucci.
Thank you.
Thanks to James Rainey.
Thank
you to Bootler Bootlesson.
Thank you.
Thank you to Grumblebee.
Yep.
Thanks to Tux. Thank you to Ricky Cilantro.
Thank you, Ricky.
And thanks to Norm. Norm from Cheers.
Norm.
Oh, man, George Wendt. Big fan of the pod.
Yeah.
Big fan of the pod.
Hell yeah.
So we don't have any big stories here. There's a remake of Goodnight Mommy coming out with Naomi Watts.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Did y'all see Goodnight Mommy?
I love Goodnight Mommy.
A lot of people I know loved Goodnight Mommy. I didn't like it.
I mean, I thought
like
the twist is incredibly obvious, but there's some well done sequences in the movie.
Yeah, I think I'm pro remake. I think.
I mean, it's like Naomi Watts, like remaking weird German horror is apparently like because she's also in the fucking
Funny Games.
Funny Games, yeah.
That's the same director doing both.
And I loved Funny Games.
That's a hell of a film. We covered it on We Just Watched the original one.
Amazing.
Quite the movie.
It's a hell of a movie. Yeah.
Yeah, Goodnight Mommy, for whatever reason, maybe I need to watch it again. It just didn't. I just didn't like it. But like I said, a lot of people I know and respect really like it. So I recognize that it's up there, right, with all the like slow burn horror.
Well, I have some of that. I understand some of that because there's some where like everyone I know that like loves a lot of these like, you know, like slow burn horror of like the last like 10, 20 years things, like loves it, but I don't know why. Like I have that with It Follows.
Oh wow, yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I wish I loved It Follows as everyone else loves It Follows.
Sure.
Because again, of like this whole like A24 era of horror, it feels like it should be something that was like directly up my alley, but I can't quite put my finger on it. So like I completely get where you're coming from in like the Goodnight Mommy sense, where it's like, yeah, it sung for like a lot of other people, but didn't sing for me.
Here's my theory: is that it's like comedy, where that if it doesn't emotionally affect you, if it doesn't scare you the way comedy doesn't make you laugh, then it just doesn't work, right? Then you spend your time picking it apart instead of being in the moment.
Yeah.
I suspect that's what it is that if it doesn't get you the way it's getting other people, then it's just not going to work. Mm-hmm. And it's purely like a wiring thing, is because it's that thing where whenever I hear people being like, I just didn't like that movie, it doesn't necessarily groove with them. It's just some movies they it's a miss with people.
Yeah.
That's just how it works sometimes. What else? They made The Lodge too, right? These directors.
They made The Lodge, another movie that didn't really grab me.
I really like the way The Lodge ends. We've talked about this a million times.
I'd like the ending a lot too.
Yeah, I love how fucking just like shit that ending is.
Yeah.
I think both movies come down to me watching and being like, you got to get control over those kids. Like,
yeah, they
just watching and being like, you got to handle those kids. You're doing a bad job.
Yeah. They really do like the theme of, boy, kids suck, huh?
Yeah.
I think it's because I watched The Lodge like right around the time that I watched a different movie that was also like focusing on like kids and just general messiness that like I watched it in the same night and I loved the other thing so much more that I liked the ending of The Lodge, but it just didn't like quite sit with me. Because in the same night I watched We Are Little Zombies, which was like my favorite movie of last year. Then I watched Psycho Goreman last year too. But like I liked the ending of The Lodge. But I don't know, maybe it's also because my audio in my car sucked and I watched it in a drive-in. I should watch it again.
Yeah. I mean, I think these should all be supported because they're at least, most of them at least feel like they're doing something different. I do feel like this style of horror is definitely going to be taken advantage of down the line, the way anything is, where it's going to be gamed. Like big studios are going to be trying to recreate the A24 model or that aesthetic. But for now, it's great.
Yeah.
I think what it is, you know why I like this is because it's, like unlike other horror fads, it's an aesthetic fad. Which means the writing is all over the place. It can be about anything. And that's what actually matters. As opposed to when it was like, oh, we're all doing Scream or we're all doing The Ring.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And also like horror, I mean, I have a bias, but like I feel like horror is a genre that just in terms of like if you look at the remakes versus any other genre tends to have like a better batting average for remakes. And that's usually because in a lot of horror remakes, like at least one original person tends to be involved. The person doing the remake like really loves the thing that they're making. So they like, when it works, understands why it works, but doesn't try to do the same thing twice. Usually they'll just like take an echo of inspiration and then like the remake ends up being something that's like in universe or like homage to, but it's still like very much their thing. So like if it's a horror remake, chances are I'm going to like it more just because, the batting average tends to be a little bit better.
No, I think that's true. For me anyway.
All right, well, let's keep going here.
Yeah.
They're making an Ancient Aliens movie from the creators of Cobra Kai.
I just got into Cobra Kai this year, and I fucking love it. What a great idea. What a great idea for a Karate Kid sequel.
I haven't watched it yet. I don't know anything about Ancient Aliens. I'm worried.
Well, the problem with Ancient Aliens is that it's racist.
Yeah.
Yes, it's saying
like
it's
deeply
saying
racist.
These non-white
couldn't
ancient
possibly
people
have been advanced enough to build this stuff, and it's like, could they not have? It's like, how were the pyramids built? This is how. Like, we know how.
Yeah,
we know
I feel
how
like
they built the pyramids.
200 years from now, there's gonna be a guy that's just like, man, how did she never get audited by the IRS? Aliens.
Yeah,
aliens. There's got to be aliens.
And I think people that enjoy Ancient Aliens, it's not like a knock against you, especially if you're not like.
Well, people aren't enjoying it for racist reasons. I don't think.
I don't think so.
Most people probably.
It probably doesn't even occur to most people because it's like.
Yeah.
I suspect. I mean, I don't know. Like, if you've not. I don't know. This is definitely like. I suspect most people who have watched Ancient Aliens and the racist aspect never occurred to them are probably white. Because it's like,
I don't know. Yeah, probably.
It's just I don't know. It's if you're not like, if you basically own all culture and are represented in everything, you don't really. It's like you can do things like, well, what if aliens made? Then you're like, oh, that is kind of a fun idea, and you don't think about the implications of that because you own everything else. So what? I'm not explaining myself very well, but it's like,
no, I completely understand it.
Yeah, it just wouldn't occur to you because you're not thinking about that.
It's those things that like you never realize are like racist or xenophobic until somebody like gently asks you to take a second look at it. It's like when somebody like has a tool in the kitchen or something that breaks and they're like, of course it broke because it's made in China, and it's like, let's examine why you feel that way. They weren't saying it to like be xenophobic, but it's just something that's like so deeply ingrained that they don't really realize that it's there.
Exactly. That reminds me of when we were at Cracked, we got a lot of crazy China stories. and that's a genre. Oh, yeah. That is a genre that exists entirely because of subconscious racism.
It's a the news story where it's like, here's some wild stuff. A Chinese zoo shaves a dog and convinces people it's a panda.
Yeah.
And it's like, no one was convinced. Like, when you look into the story, it was like, oh, they were doing a fun promotion thing, or it was a fun gag.
Yeah.
But, like, we are, like, you'll see, like, literally, like, CNN interpreting it as, like, can you believe it? They thought it was a panda. And it's
no,
like,
they didn't.
No, they didn't.
No one thought it was a panda.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like the people that are like, they want a non-binary Santa Claus, and it's like one person on Twitter said it as a joke. Like,
exactly. Yeah. Everyone says like, people are pushing back. It's like, no, it was one person.
Right.
Yeah. So this kind of.
But the ancient aliens, it is an important thing to realize.
Yes.
That it is stemming from, again, like, probably not like an insidious. Like,
no, I don't think so. It's
racist push. It's just a passive like racism that we have in our culture, where we're like, it must be aliens. Part of it's also that we just love aliens, or we did.
We do, yeah.
90s.
We like the idea.
I love aliens.
Yeah.
I've driven to Roswell on purpose.
Wow.
Oh fuck yeah! Hell yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the black mailbox and all the other cool stuff, so I just did a little alien trip for a weekend.
Nice.
But it was like, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say I really want to do a Roswell trip.
We should do that.
That sounds a lot of fun.
All I was gonna say is this is like when we did the episode about Craig Zoller's movies with Jason, Dave. And it's like when the first time I saw Bone Tomahawk, I was like, wow, that was really good. It was like
oh yeah,
like Jaws. Like it's because it's like formatted the same way as Jaws. Everything. It never occurred to me that movie is deeply racist.
Yeah, and I would argue with that guy. I would argue that no confirmation. But I bet that's a way less passive racism going on there.
Like
that's a way more active.
His producer is the guy that produced that movie that fucking Ben Shapiro's company bought.
Yeah.
Ranting about woke Hollywood. It's like, I feel like Craig Zoller's probably. I feel like it's probably deliberate.
It's Cinestate. It's Cinestate, so it's deliberate because like everything that's ever come out of Dallas Saulnier's mouth is like, I make movies for like he said it without saying it in terms of just like the people that aren't offended generation.
He used like really weird non-committal language, but it was dog whistling as hell.
It was dog whistling, and then it was just like not even dog whistling anymore after a certain point, because then you get like Brawl in Cell Block 99, and then you get Dragged Across Concrete, and then you just get
you're just saying it now.
At that point, he's like just fucking saying it.
He was able to hide because Brawl, I would say, has that like John Carpenter feel where you're like, it's gritty.
I liked Brawl. It didn't even occur to me.
Well, it's a thing growing up in the punk scene. Like a shaved head doesn't necessarily mean what it could mean. Mm-hmm. So it's like giving it the benefit of the doubt, and then rewatching it and being like, no. Yeah, that's a Nazi.
Yeah. Like, it's like, a lot of Nazis like this movie. I wonder why. And then you look back at it again, it's like, I see exactly why.
Yeah. It's
anyway,
man.
That's Ancient Aliens.
That's Ancient Aliens. On a similar note, there's going to be an animated Peeps movie. Sure. Does anybody care? Do we care?
No.
Any opinions? Does it matter?
I mean, they managed to make a Lego movie.
Yeah.
But like there's like the Lego movie in terms of just like, it was like selling stuff, but at least it was like well casted and had like its jokes in it, because like Charlie Day and that spaceship bit that made me laugh.
Oh yeah.
But then you have like the Emoji Movie in which they all enter a cloud, and then they explain what a cloud is, and then what you could do if you subscribe to a cloud.
Have you?
Oh no,
Vanessa, have you seen? I've actually seen the pitch for that. Have you seen it?
No. What?
It's the most cynical. Like they literally, the only idea in the pitch is them excitedly talking about how many brands they can integrate into it. That is the entire pitch.
Oh my god!
Like there's no story. It's really vague. It's all about brand synergy. It's incredible.
Oh my god! Okay, so that made my eyes cross for like a second. I really need to see it, but also it gave me a headache.
It's out. I forget where I saw it, but it's out there.
Oh my God. I'd rather have a movie about the person that makes that pitch than that movie.
Yes, that would probably be a sweet movie. It'd be like Barton Fink.
The Lego movie did that thing, right? Where it opened the floodgates, because now we hear animated Peeps movie and we think maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I
mean, maybe.
Clue was good.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
Yeah. But Clue was about people.
Yes, yeah.
And so I think
and
there's
there's the bones of a premise in Clue with Peeps. It's like, what even would this movie be?
Right. Well, that's the thing, is like the Lego movie, I think we have to accept was an anomaly, and not use that as a reason, because
it's the exception, not the rule.
Exactly. Yeah, for
sure.
So
yeah, this will, statistically speaking, not be good. Will be the fucking Angry Birds or whatnot, and it'll make $1 billion because parents. It'll come out some month. There aren't many kids movies, and parents will have to bring their kids to something, because kids are little terrorists. So like,
if Goodnight Mommy has taught us nothing,
exactly,
and The Lodge, the lessons of The Lodge,
is that kids are terrifying.
Fucking suck. If Riley Keough had Angry Birds with her, that movie might not have happened.
Exactly.
It sat them kids in front of Angry Birds for the weekend.
Well, that's it for news stories. We have some more producers.
Yeah. Let's get through these last producers.
Thank you to Space McNulty. Thank you to Hiram.
Woo.
Thank you to Great, It's That Guy. Thank you to Nolan Mayton. Thank you to Normal Man Andrew McGuire.
Woo.
Thank you to Ozzy. Thank you to AJ. Thank you to Tip Drizzle.
Yeah.
Thank you to Frank Lee Amish.
All right, let me jump in here and take the rest of these.
Yeah.
Thank you to Burrito Mouth. Thank you to Mrs. Voitis.
Woo.
Thank you to the ghost of Dave Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you to Aaron Burser.
Thank you.
Thank you to David Knife Boot Hinson, MBA CPA. Thank you to Christopher Robert Sparts, Esquire.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mackenzie, Righteous Hand of the Lizard People, Chill.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you to Funky J.
Funky J.
And thank you to Pie Guy.
Pie Guy.
Darren Aronofsky's been with us for a while.
Yep.
Dave.
What?
David.
What?
Cut the shit.
What?
Cut all of the shit.
Are we going to fight?
Slice
what's going on?
through the shit.
All right.
And tell me if you have a movie that deserves more hype.
I do.
Oh, man, I thought you might.
Yes! That's why I came here. That's entirely why I came here. I've tricked you all into letting me on here so that I can find out about a movie that deserves more hype.
Oh, yeah, and you're gonna. This is a movie called In the Earth. This is currently resting at a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is. I actually don't know when it's coming out. It's got to be soon, right?
I think it's very soon. Yeah.
This is speaking of like Goodnight Mommy and Slow Burn. Oh yeah, this is coming out limited release April 16th. So I imagine that's a theatrical, and then it'll come to streaming shortly after. This was directed by Ben Wheatley, who directed High Rise and Free Fire. And I didn't know this, is going to be directing the Meg 2. So they're gonna Wingard his ass.
At one point in time, he was directing both the Meg 2 and Tomb Raider 2.
Yeah, so they're Wingarding this motherfucker.
It was real shocking.
And it's kind of a shame, but I don't know. Maybe he'll make good big movies. I wish him the best of luck. But he made this movie during the pandemic in 15 days. And it's being described as Annihilation with more aggressive design and outright gore. It's a virus movie, which I'm not particularly fond of. Pandemic-made movies about viruses.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's more than that. It's
it looks that way.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people going to the forest to look for, I think, a doctor. And in the forest, shit goes out of control. They meet a man who I think claims to be able to control the forest. And as you can tell in this movie, it's like something fucked up happens. Again, 15 days just people in the forest, pandemic movie, and yet it looks pretty intense. So yeah, that's my pitch for In the Earth. Yeah. And I haven't seen people being talking about it that much. You guys watch the trailer? What do you think?
I think it looks interesting. I like that there's seems to be a supernatural element, which appeals to me.
Same.
Yep.
Ben Wheatley also was an EP on The Greasy Strangler, Dave.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. A man of taste. A man of taste. Of greasy taste.
Of extremely greasy taste. No, I'm into this. I don't think I've seen any of his movies. Like, I've watched half of the Rebecca remake that he just did. But that's it. I haven't seen High Rise or Free Fire.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I saw... Oh, shit. I don't know if I've seen any of his movies. I gotta watch both of these, because they both looked very interesting. And people seem to like him, and I don't know. He has a reputation for himself at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he did do a movie that I loved.
What movie?
Which
Kill
one?
List.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is like his return to horror, too.
Yeah, I loved Kill List. All right, that makes me more hype.
Oh, yeah. I don't know Kill List. I'll have to check this out.
And so, I don't know. I always get bummed when there's these directors and then Hollywood just engulfs them. So I'm glad he got to make this movie before going off to make I assume, Jason Statham film, The Meg 2.
Yeah.
Although I do hope that in making The Meg 2, he makes a better version of The Meg.
Jason Statham apparently has script and story input on The Meg 2, so it
should
be incredible.
Yeah.
It should be either incredible or terrible.
I mean, I'm holding out hope that if Statham is contributing to the script, that means he's going to kick the shark.
That's true.
Many times.
I just think, like, Vin Diesel has trained me to think that when a bald action man gets involved with the story, it's a good thing, but that's not necessarily true with Jason Statham. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I have that similar anxiety, like you said, the Wingard anxiety, in terms of just like, I was excited to see what other pieces of just like original media that he would want to take on. I think something similar like was also occurring with like Fede Alvarez, who was another dude that like I very much was like really excited to see these other like small original ideas, but clearly there's like these big budget things that are just like taking up all of their time. Cause I have seen like some other Ben Wheatley movies that I really enjoyed, and I've also seen The Meg, and I can tell you what I'd rather watch.
Oh yeah,
right.
No, The Meg was bad.
It's sort of, I mean, it's something that applies to a lot of things, but the Black Mirror episode 15 Million Merits is kind of the story of a lot of, I think, horror filmmakers too, where it's like they come up, they get noticed, they're like, great, all right, now get in this big machine. And they do, and then you forget, and you sort of lose sight of them.
Yeah.
And so that's always my fear, where it's like, yeah, they're making really unique shit, and then it's like, good job, you don't have to do that anymore. Now you're gonna do other things, which is why I really like going back to Andrew Garfield and Under the Silver Lake, because that's sort of what that's about. It felt like.
Yeah.
The director of It Follows kind of being like, I don't fit, or I don't feel like I fit in this world. Or at least that's how it came across.
I think that's definitely an element of it, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of these people, I do hope that they'll go the other way and be like, I'm just going to make weird shit for the rest of my life. I'm just going to make indie films. You know?
Yeah.
I think about Terry Gilliam, where the biggest budget he ever got was 12 Monkeys, I think.
I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, Jesus, like, good for you, I guess. But anyway, everybody should check out the trailer for In the Earth.
Yeah,
I'm going
because
to.
It's might be your jam.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's a sewed. We did it.
I think that's a sewed.
We did a whole sewed together?
An entire sewed.
An entire
sewed. Vanessa, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. Y'all are great.
Oh, you're great. What do you got to plug? What do you want to promote? Tell us what's going on.
Where can we find you?
Yeah, actually, my plug is also going to be a shameless ask that I would love to have you both on, because it's very much the kind of thing that I would love to just rant with you for like 2 hours. But I host a podcast called Kicking and Screaming, where we have somebody come on. Usually it's just the two of us, but whenever we have a guest, the guest would pick either a horror movie or a martial arts movie, and we will pair with it a movie of the alternate genre to make a kicking and screaming double feature. Because I feel like when it comes to like kung fu movie people and horror movie people, they like the same stuff, but they don't realize that they would adore each other's genres, because they're also both like discredited genres. So basically we're just trying to get people to like reach across the video store aisle, essentially. So would also love to have y'all on and pick a movie and make a bizarre ass double feature. But if you like horror and if you like kicking and punching, you'll probably like Kicking and Screaming.
That sounds delightful.
Thank you. And check out Fangoria.com for other articles that I have coming out soon. I just had one that dropped because I recently found out that my uncles were lucha horror directors. So that was a fun family discovery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you can find me on @NessGritton on all forms of social medias, because I haven't changed that last name yet, because it's a pain in the ass to change a name in any public-facing job.
Oh, yeah. I've changed my name like 6 times now. It's hard.
It gets harder each time.
Yeah, every move. Well, I guess I'll tell people about our Patreon.
We got it going on, yeah.
Yeah, we got patreon.com/Gamefully Unemployed. You go on there, you get exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, and Fox Mulder is a Maniac. For $5 a month, you get both of those new episodes every week. So go on there. Check it out. Every Friday night we watch movies with our patrons, so you can also do that.
One of which will probably be Space Jam.
Yes!
Yeah, no doubt.
We also have a store at tpublic.com/store/Gamefully Unemployed. You're going to get t-shirts, masks, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. Check that out. Or don't. I don't know. I don't care.
This is America.
Yeah. You do what you want, pal.
Yeah.
All right. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can follow him on Twitter at @thecorlew, CORLEW, and find more music at shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our artwork is produced by Justin Brown. You can follow him on Twitter at @JustinTBrown, and find more of his artwork at artnessbyjustinbrown.com and justinbrown.info.